listen to the medical testimony. So that was comforting to hear that. A couple of comments on race. Let me just, I talk a lot about high-profile cases because we've had so many of them. And I note with some irony that it was only after what I call the couple of summers of young blonde girls who were abducted, many were found murdered, some in California, some in Massachusetts, that we had the national push for the Amber Alert. Great idea, right? Let's make sure that we respond when that happens. But my point is this, you know, most child abuse occurs from people they know, homes they live in, friends, family. It's not, you know, it's obviously horrible when someone is abducted by a stranger, but it was also true that it was those cute white blonde girls that got everybody's attention. And there are children all over this country who are abducted by strangers, who are mistreated by their parents, family, friends, who don't have the cute faces and the blonde curls to get attention. And so we spend a lot of money on a system because that's what people want to see, and that's unfortunate. Let me make a second point. We have, and we are still investigating what we believe to be a murder case in this county when there were 3 young women who had disappeared and whose bodies were found, now skeletons, in Hudson and in Marlborough in our county. Denelia Torres, Carmen Rudy, and Betsy Montalvo had disappeared off the streets of Worcester. They were substance abusers. Many of them had turned to the street to support themselves. In one case, the family didn't even know they were missing. And as horrified as I am by those women's lives, by their deaths, I'm more horrified by their lives because they fell off track. People didn't know where they were missing, and we have victims like that all over this country every single day, and they don't get a fair shake when they're alive and sometimes when they're murdered. And the third thing I just want to mention is really to respond to Tom's point, and it raises ethical issues, I think. You know, defendants who feel they will be prejudiced, a jury will be prejudiced against them because of race or ethnic or some other reason, have that opportunity to play the race card. Well, what happens when the defendant decides he's going to play the race card against the victim? Different story, isn't it? Case on appeal right out of this district. A Harvard graduate student, white graduate student, who he claims was attacked by a young Hispanic man while he was walking home one night from a local watering hole. All the race cards were being played on this. This victim came from a tough family, had a criminal record. It must have been self-defense. Case went to trial, emotions were high. He was convicted of manslaughter. The case is on appeal. But it actually brought up issues about what can a defendant do in attacking the victim. And you know who's going to suffer from that kind of rulings. It's going to be poor people, it's going to be minorities, it's going to be African Americans, it's going to be Hispanics, because we all have these unconscious prejudices. So as we look at these issues about social justice and race, and media coverage of this, it's important not only to look at does the defendant get a fair trial, but it's also equally important to look at does the victim get a fair trial. And that's going to depend on you guys, next generation.